Welcome again to another pickleball play of the day, and this is called 3 Strikes, You're Out. And here are the principles. Serving is Marshall, his partner is George, and the receiving team is John at the net, and back to receive the serve is Steve. Now let's get into this point. Lots of things to note here. As we see, Marshall is serving. Now, stop it right here. Note the foot fault on Marshall. The foot must be behind the line before the ball is struck. So this is a prime example of a foot fault. But nevertheless, the point continues. The serve comes up. Not bad, pretty deep to Steve. Steve comes back and gets a return. Most serves are returned cross-court back to the server because the server is a little bit deeper. And as you can see in this case, that applies. The serve comes back to Marshall. Now, as you notice, Marshall is stepping backwards, which is not a great thing to do because it takes your momentum away from the ball. But nevertheless, he is able to return the ball. Now, at this point, he has to make a decision. As you can see here, John is right at the net. Steve is way back. So Marshall's better approach would be to hit the ball to Steve and try and get it deep at his feet. Let's see what happens. Going backwards, Marshall doesn't have the control. You could see where he started that and where he wound up hitting it. So he's way back. His momentum brought him backwards. Doesn't get quite the control he wanted and hits a pop-up to John. Now, look at John's position here. John is a little bit too far back of the line. And let's see what happens. John's point of impact is here, which as you can see is below the net. If John was a foot higher, foot more close to the line, his point of impact would be here, above the net. And he could hit a downward shot and probably put the point away. So John gets it below the net, and his only shot is to hit it up. And he hits it back to Marshall. So now the ball comes back to Marshall. And at this point, Marshall's better shot is still once again to Steve, who's a little bit back. But as you can see, Steve has gotten a lot closer. So this shot's going to become a little bit tougher. But also notice the position here. John is facing directly to Marshall correctly, and Steve is slightly angled, which gives him more coverage. Also, very good position, although a little too far back from the line. The shot comes back. And Marshall, once again, tries to hit it to Steve, but pops it up and hits it to John. Now, when that ball is popped up, I like to see both players back. I think George here is in a very vulnerable position. You know an overhead's coming, and John's going to try and go right for his feet. And this is no man's land where the point should be put away. But John doesn't get everything on, and then George makes an attempt. So he gets the ball deep, hits it back, and pops it up. The ball comes, and John gets another shot at the overhead. Now this time you can see both of them are at the net. So now they're both in position. John hits it back to Marshall, giving him his third attempt. And at this point, Marshall's options are much worse. You got a wall right here. That makes it very difficult to get it by these two. You can try many things, but it becomes much more difficult when they got the wall formed. And Marshall tries, he hits it, he tries to power through him, but unfortunately, strike three into the net. And so that is today's pickleball point of the day.